everyone, my name is Tasha and today I'm bringing you my March wrap-up. In March I read a total of 9 books and I will get into them straight away. The first book I read was Soulless by Gail Carriger. I read this as part of the Lonely Genres book club, which was created or is being hosted by Sarah from Sarah Without an H and Anais from Clockwork Kitten. I will link the Goodreads group for this book club down below so you can go check it out. It was an alright book. I gave it 3 stars. I had quite a hard time getting into it. The story didn't really grip me, and to be honest, I was a bit confused by a lot of things. There weren't a lot of steampunk elements in this, in my opinion, but I did really like the characters and the dynamic between the 2 main characters, and I also liked the writing. I thought it was quite quirky and different, but as I said, the story didn't really grip me, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna continue this series. It's definitely not high on my priority list of books or series to finish. Part of the reason why I might not have enjoyed it as much as I usually would have is I read this while I was in a reading slump and I was kind of forcing myself to read it. Before I started this, I finished the Foxhole Court series. As some of you might know, those books really put me into a reading slump because I couldn't let go. So that might have been part of the reason, which is why I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna continue this series, but we will see. The next book I read was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the sequel to A Darker Shade of Magic. I was so excited for this book and it was so amazing. I thought it was a fantastic sequel to A Darker Shade of Magic. There were some slow bits, like it took a while to get very interesting, but I still enjoyed it. I loved the new characters, especially Alucard. Probably pronouncing that wrong again, but I really loved his character and I loved Lila and Kel finding each other again. Oh my god, it was amazing. I loved it so much. In my notes, I wrote down the ending in all caps, but right now I can't remember what the ending was. How did that book end? And I rated this book 4.5 stars. Next I read The Deal by L. Kennedy. This is a new adult novel series, part of a series, first book in a series. The only reason this book was on my list is because it's about fake dating, and as you might know by now, I'm absolute trash for fake dating. So of course I had to read this. This novel was about Hannah. She, of course, fancies this guy in her class, but he doesn't really notice her, and then she meets Garrett. He is kind of failing this one class, and Hannah is really good at it, so they make this deal that Hannah helps Garrett with his class, and in return, Garrett pretends to go out with Hannah so the other guy gets jealous. You know, typical fake dating. It's nothing new, but I love it so much, and I loved this book so much. This was actually the first new adult novel that I gave 5 stars. I don't know why, but I'm always hesitant to give new adult books 5 stars. I don't know why, don't ask me why. There were just some things that made this stand out to me compared to other new adult novels. For example, prior to this book, when Hannah was like 15, she was raped at a party. It's not the sole focus of the story. What I really liked about this situation is that Hannah wasn't portrayed as a victim of rape, but as a survivor of rape, and I really loved that approach to that topic because I mentioned this in my Goodreads review. When I hear rape, I immediately think of a victim and someone who's damaged, but the way that Hannah thought about this and seeing herself as a survivor of this, and obviously she still deals with it and she still has her scars, that's obvious, but I just loved the way that was portrayed in this book. I'm no expert on this topic, so I can't say if it was portrayed better than other things, but I personally really liked the way it was done. And the love interest, Garrett, I loved Garrett so much. He was so understanding, and the way he took care of Hannah, I loved it so much. Next, I continued in the Addicted series by Becca and Krista Ritchie. The book I read was Ricochet, book 1.5 in this series. I didn't enjoy this as much as Addicted to You. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really liked the progress that Lily made in her therapy. Something I didn't like in this book, it made me cringe so much. Daisy and Reich, is that how you pronounce his name? I don't know. Daisy and Reich, their interactions. I mean, Reich himself often says he knows he's too old for Daisy. Like, she's 16 and he's 22, 23, something like that. He's aware of that age difference and he knows he's not gonna act upon it, but still their interactions just made me cringe so much. I'm pretty sure they do become a thing eventually, probably when Daisy is a bit older, but at this point it's just, it makes me feel so uncomfortable and I don't like it. I'm sorry if you ship them, but at this point in the series, no. A ship that I absolutely love in this series is Rose and Connor. Oh my god, they give me life and I cannot wait to read the books that focus on them. Next, I read Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I already filmed a book talk on this. I will link my book talk down below. It's in 2 parts. Due to various reasons, I had to split the video, so I'm not gonna get into too much detail, but I will say that I really enjoyed this first installment of the new series, and I gave it 4.5 stars. No, actually, I gave it, in my book talk, I said I gave it 4.5 stars, but I looked back on my Goodreads and I actually gave it between 4 and 4.5 stars. It's not that much difference, but I thought I'd mention it. I did have some issues with this book, but they were kind of minor. But overall, I did like this book. It had me mind blown several times, and the ending, I'm still not over the ending. I partially read this book in the Slay That series readathon that was happening sometime in March. It wasn't initially on my TBR, but I started it before that and then finished it in on the second day? I don't know. And the book that was initially on my TBR was Library of Souls by Ransom Briggs, the third and last book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series trilogy. It did take me a bit longer than I intended. I had such a hard time getting through this. I'm pretty sure it's just Ransom Briggs' writing that I just don't like. It's not bad, it's just not my cup of tea. I couldn't really concentrate on the story. I'd read 2 or 3 pages and then get distracted by something else. But I do love the world and the characters that he created, which is why I really wanted to finish the series and find out how it ends. I did like the ending. I liked how the series wrapped up, since I had to force myself through most of this book and was bored at a lot of times. Unfortunately, I could only give this book 2.5 stars. The next book I read was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I'm sure you have all heard about this book. Everyone still raves about this book, which is why I was so excited to read it. I love this book so much. I went into it knowing basically nothing. I only knew it was sci-fi and that it contained files and IM messages and that kind of stuff. Something I did not expect with this book is to get so emotionally attached to characters, because they're files and reports and IMs and emails and whatnot. Boy, was I wrong. This book almost made me cry. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I know people like getting into this without knowing a lot, and I did enjoy that. The reason I didn't give it the full 5 stars, I really enjoyed it, but I sometimes did have problems following the plot, and to be honest, if someone asked me to describe the plot, I couldn't do that. I still couldn't do it because I'm still not entirely sure on everything that actually happened or how it happened. Next, I read a book for review, and that was Underwater by Marisa Reichard, I'm not sure. I requested this book from My Kind of Book / Pan Macmillan, so thank you to the publisher for sending me this. I actually just filmed a review on this. I'm not sure if it will be up before this video, probably after. Underwater is about this girl, Morgan. She is a survivor of a school shooting and she suffers from PTSD. She's afraid to leave her house, so she spends all her time at home. She attends school online. Things change when a boy moves in next door, and I know what you're thinking, another one of those stories, focus on the romance or whatever, but no, it's not. Oh my god, this book was amazing. I was afraid that the focus would be on the romance between Morgan and the love interest Evan. The focus was on Morgan and her healing. It was done so well. There were so many things that I really liked in this book. So if you are interested in my review of this book, keep an eye out for that because that will be uploaded pretty soon. Oh, and I gave this book 4 stars. And the last book I read this month, I just finished this morning, The Winner's Kiss by Marie Rutkowski, the third and final book in the Winner's trilogy. Oh my god, this book was so amazing. One of the best ends to a series I have read. It was so intense. The amount of times I was at the edge of my seat, constant tears in my eyes. This book was an emotional roller coaster. I'm not gonna get into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but oh my god, this book was amazing. So good. It was so good. If you haven't guessed by now, I gave this book 5 stars. Oh my god. So those were the 9 books that I read in March. These are the physical books that I read. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Tell me down below what you read in March, your favorite read, your least favorite read, and that was it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye! Ow! That hurt.